listen, it is your boy, man, Mature the Servant, and I'm glad that you are here with me for, I'm assuming, I guess, the first, but not the first episode of Rap-Ology. I mean, it is technically the first episode of Rap-Ology, but it's kind of like a continuation of the interviews and the other things that I've done with the Rap Shit podcast. So I guess it's not the first. We gonna call it the first. So what's going on, man? Thank y'all for checking out the Rap-Ology podcast. This is, like I say, it's a combination of what the Rap Shit podcast, the Rap Shit magazine was, which was me sitting down, bringing independent artists to the spotlight, right? Talking about independent artists, interviewing them, learning their stories, checking out their music, stuff like that. If you listen to my other podcast, the Not Very Mature podcast, we play independent music from independent artists. So this was another way to kind of steerhead that thing. And so I wanted to bring back the Rap Shit podcast, or continue it, or keep it going. But also I like the idea of deep diving into albums, really deep diving into the body and the meat and the bones of these albums that we put out as independent artists, because there's so many stories and layers that go into it, right? There's so much about an independent artist and what we do when we're making music, just like anybody in the mainstream, right? We have reasons behind the beats we chose, the stories we told, the titles of the names and stuff like that. And so I kind of like to dig into that kind of stuff, because I'm very much I guess you could say I'm an old school kind of fan of hip hop and rap, where everything kind of mattered. Everything had a purpose. Everything had a reason. There was just something about an artist putting out an album before the fans, because you felt like they were serving you something, and just like before you was this feast of music that you had to eat up. So pause. Say no, but so definitely that's what Rap-Ology is. Rap-Ology is definitely a podcast where I'm gonna deep dive into some independent artist albums, give you a chance to go check out those albums, man, and support those artists. And I figured, man, what better way to kick this bad baby off than by starting with myself, man, and kind of dive into some of my catalog and giving some historical insight into the mythology of is it mythology? Mythology, thank you, of the mythology of my album. So let's go ahead and get into this, man. I'll be starting to talk about my very first album in the world of mainstream. For those who don't know, I used to do Christian hip hop for about 10 years. I did tours, I did all type of stuff. I had an album that was really successful, Invincibility. I had a lot of I would call them underground tapes during that time also, that kind of just sparked a buzz for me and kind of made me grow, you know what I'm saying? And around 2019, I switched over into a mainstream sound. 2020 happened. We all know how that went, right? Okay, so did that during the pandemic. I started my filmmaking journey, and so from 2019 to about 2021-ish, there was this weird era of, like, I knew I was getting ready to cross over, but I also didn't know how, like, where I wanted to cross over to. You know what I'm saying? Like, I knew there was a purpose and a reason behind it, but I just didn't know what do you say when you have, it's kind of like if you haven't been able to talk for 30 years, and then finally you wake up and you have a voice. What is the first things that you want to say? You know what I'm saying? That you haven't been able to say for the 30 years you couldn't talk, right? So it's like, that was kind of this, it was a shift. I've always had this one voice. Now I was waking up and having a different voice, and it was like, what do you say with that new voice, right? And so I was kind of trying to get into that, you know what I'm saying, and figure out what would what would be my first album, I guess, under a mainstream sound or feel or approach. And that's where we come to the double album of 2022, Vince and Mature. And we are about to get into that.
Oh my God!
But before we do that, man, listen, I need you guys to hit that like button, subscribe like never before. Go ahead and notify so that you don't miss an episode of Rap-Ology. Or if you are listening to us on the audio version, then that means you tapped into the Maturity Productions Network on all streaming platforms. All streaming platforms such as Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Deezer, iHeart, all those good things. You want to go ahead and check out those things. Leave a 5-star rating. Show some love for the pod, right? A little love for the pod, right? And then, you know what I'm saying? Check us out. We got so many other podcasts on the platform, such as this, Rap-Ology. We have the Not Very Mature podcast, the Hit Your Finisher podcast that is coming. So many things, so much content is coming to the podcast space, and it's all going to be right here under one umbrella, the Maturity Productions Network. And I need you guys to show some support, show some love, because this is going to be for artists all over. This is going to be artists, you know what I'm saying, who sing, artists who rap. I want you guys to be able to be exposed to some really great talent out there. I know for me as a fan of hip hop and music in general, I'm a little disappointed sometimes with what we got out there, right? Not your
Fatality.
Not the best music, okay? Not the best music. But one thing you can know about this podcast, one thing you can know about your boy Mature the Servant.
This motherfucker don't miss.
Don't miss, baby. Do not. And so we are going to get into this podcast, man. Thank you guys for being here. Rap-Ology in full effect, man. Let's get into Vince and Mature. Right now I got the Vince cover art pulled up. Got the list for the Vince album. So Vince and Mature is a double album. I kind of always had an affinity for double albums. Growing up, double albums kind of felt special, right? You know, Jay-Z, The Gift and the Curse, one of my favorites, right? I just had this affinity for you're always going to get that one CD, right? You always open up the case, you get that one CD, that jewel case, right? Remember them thick jewel cases? They had the little booklets on the inside. I'd read them front to back to front. Look at all the pictures. Look at all the producer credits for no reason. Like, if you got lucky, it'd be a booklet and a poster, right? And the coolest thing is when you would open that bad baby up and you'd see 2 discs in there. Sometimes the 2 discs was a DVD, bonus content, all type of stuff. But when it was 2 CDs full of music, oh my God.
Oh my God!
You could not ask for more. So I have always been a fan of just trying to, I guess, recreate or still hold on or tap into some of those emotions of like, man, it's a lot of music, right? This is a big serving. This is Big Auntie's plate, right? This is when she done made the pot of yams, the pot of greens, the pot of mashed potatoes, and it's just you and her at the house. You like, who gonna eat all this? Who gonna eat all this? That's what that is, a double album. So I was excited, man, to, really give people so much music, because I don't think I had ever really approached doing music like that. So I went into this album, again, coming off of 2019. The album came out in 2022. There was kind of like this 3-year period where 2019, I really didn't feel like I had anything to say. 2020, I was more so focused on filming, so I really didn't have nothing then. But going into 2021, going into 2021, I was like, okay, I'm going to really focus and zone in on my music, like really try to get it together. And it was a little difficult because for me, I had always went to professional studios. I did not have my own home studio like I do now. When I went to do this album in particular, I no longer had a legit studio to go to. So, because I was going to a certain place where I was doing my Christian hip hop, they was not gonna have me doing my mainstream hip hop. So it was clear, like, okay, I have to either find a place, which at that time I just couldn't, right? I was like, or I have to put it together myself. And so I did. I invested and got my own home studio, put the time in, put the work in, put the money in. And so Vincent Mature is a special project, not just because it's my first in the mainstream, it's my first not first in the mainstream, but well, yeah, first in the mainstream, but also it's my first project that I recorded, like by myself, that I did the work for. So not having ever recorded myself for real, I had to learn a lot about engineering for the first time, which was fun, but
Oh my God.
shit was hard. It was hard. Listen, shit was hard. Listen, shout out and salute to every producer, every engineer that's out there, because oh, learning engineering on the fly through YouTube University is like dancing on hot coals, staring at a pair of shoes. Like you just, I don't even know what that means. It's like you know what you're trying to do, but at the same time you're killing yourself. Lord have mercy. So it was tough. It was tough. It was tough. It was tough. But that's why I think this project also was so special, because I know the amount of work that I put in to just even make it happen. You get what I'm saying? Shout out to my homeboy King Sizzle. He came through and helped on some mixing as well for this. But the recording, the mixing, it was just like, even just the way that I structured songs and stuff, all that stuff was just stuff that I did. You know what I'm saying? And it felt so refreshing and liberating to do such a thing for myself, by myself, for a project that I knew was going to be important. And so I went with, Vince Mature as the name, because for a double album, this was really the pinnacle of a story that I had always been telling, right? Throughout my Christian hip hop journey up into this album, I had been telling the story of me versus myself, right? I think it's the greatest story that you can tell, because we all have villains, right? And we all think that we're the hero, and we all are the villain to someone else's hero, right? So we can always look and say, well, this person did this to me, this person did that to me, this person did this to me. They're the villain of my story, right? And granted, they may be. But the greatest villain, right? Like your Joker to Batman, your Dark Side to Superman, like, is yourself, right? The greatest enemy is yourself. So I've always told this story because I think on any level, whether it's a hype song, whether it's a deep or focused song, done right, anybody can understand the concept of that, right? And can relate to it, because even on our best day or even on our worst days, we kind of know when the inner self is talking and beating yourself up, or you know what I'm saying, tearing you up on the inside, you feeling bad, you're beating yourself up, you having bad thoughts. The inner you is there. So most people can, if not all people, can understand that concept and that story. And so it's always kind of been the bread and butter of what I wanted to talk about, because I think I've always wanted to do a few things with my music. I've always wanted to comfort people, inspire people, empower them, enlighten them, encourage them, to know that, hey, it's okay. Like, as long as you can defeat the inner voice, the inner thoughts, as long as you can rise above that and stand tall above that, then it's like you'll be okay, right? So this was the pinnacle of that story, because I had told that on Invincibility. Invincibility was like the, I guess I would call it my Avengers Endgame Part 1. You know, you know what I'm saying? And this was like Avengers Endgame. Like, or no, that was the Infinity War. So that was Infinity War Part 2. And then, oh, how did Marvel do that? It's been so long. Was Endgame Part 2? Or was that after 2 parts of Avengers? Vince Mature was the big finale for this story I wanted to tell, where it was me versus me. And Invincibility, that story was prevalent there. I think even if you go back to Invincibility, and then even like the Death of Me series that I did, those were like underground tapes. That the Death of Me 1 and 2 was kind of like surface level telling the story. Spiritual Recession, that was another one. But I felt like Invincibility was kind of the alley-oop, and then Vincent Mature was the dunk. You get what I'm saying? So I wanted to kind of split the story up, and I always felt like the story on an album was always, I was trying to cram both parts in there. How do I tell this side of my story, but this side of my story? Because the catalyst of it all is like, right, Vince is who I really am, right? Vince is who I am at home. He's who I am in my alone time by myself. Like, that's just me, my true self, not on stage, not performing, not in front of a camera, right? Not doing, it's just raw, simple me, raw me. Mature is who I have to be when I go out, right? That's who I have to be when I go present myself at shows, when I'm trying to do business, when I'm trying to entertain people, when I'm trying to be, more so noticeable, and more so attention grabbing, more so dynamic and big in a space where there's so many different artists sometimes, right? You walk into some open mics or some places, there's so many artists. How do you get people to remember you and notice you? Well, that's what Mature does. He goes the extra mile to make sure that while people may forget Vince, they won't forget Mature, right? And so there was that story there, and I was like, what's dope doing the double album is I can split those stories. I can tell one story from just Vince, and then I can tell another story from just Mature, and then kind of have those two stories still coexist through the double album together. So that's where, I came up with the name and the theme and the concept for the album. So let's kind of get into this album, and then I can explain more as I kind of go through each song from the album. So starting with Vince, we got the Vince intro. And with the Vince intro, I wanted to do skits. I love skits. I think skits are super dope on albums. I think they help pull you into the world of the album. I think skits have, I won't say they're forgotten because people still do them, but I think what people do on skits sometimes can just be like, oh, let's just do something to, bring some humor into the album. Let's just do something to just add, like set up the next song or whatever. But I never feel like sometimes albums use skits to keep you immersed in the world of the music they're telling. And I think a lot of times that's because the songs have nothing to do with each other sometimes, right? The songs can be so scatterbrained all over, with radio hits and single joints and stuff like that, that you can't throw a skit in there to try to make it all make sense, right? So the skit could just be whatever, a little radio segment, and WDJ baby, where the hoes twerk ass, you know what I'm saying? And you just like, that's it. So I think that when I do skits, I like to use my skits to help build up the album so that the album still carries this weight throughout. You get what I'm saying? So when we did the Vince intro, it was me going to my therapist, and I'm sitting down for a therapy session, which people have done before. But it's also a song. You get what I'm saying? It's not just a skit, but it's also a song. And so I go into the therapy session. She hits the recorder button and she says, "What do you want to talk about?" And then I use that to launch pad the song Vince intro. And then, by the end, I say, I just want people to know me, Vince. You know what I'm saying? And by the end of that song, you know where this album's going, right? You just know, because I talk about how people love Mature. People don't love Vince, right? Vince is boring. Vince is lame. Vince is doesn't have what these other, people have. He's not as flashy as other people, but people love Mature. Mature wear the suits. He get fly. He got the chains on and the watches on, and he got the look and he got the swag. He got the confidence. He got everything else that Vince doesn't have. You get what I'm saying? And so it's like, why just be him? Because who wants to be Vince when you can be Mature, right? It's kind of like Jim Carrey in The Mask, right? Who wants to be what was his name? What was his name in that movie in The Mask? Wasn't it like Ipkiss? I can't remember. He had a dumb name in The Mask. It was something like Ipkiss or something like that. But it was like, why would he want to be him? This guy who works at a bank has nothing good going on for him, right? Nothing really appealing to him as a person, when he can put this mask on and he can break out in the yellow suit. I mean, he got a green face, bald head. That was a little creepy. But other than that, you know what I'm saying? Like, he could be so much more this bigger than life person. And I've always looked at music. I've always approached music with a wrestling mindset, right? Because what we know about music for sure, more than anything, is that people are personas, right? More than they are truly themselves that we listen to. They are personas, and they sell us on the persona, and that's cool, right? Because we all love some kind of persona. We all have our own kind of persona. So and so I talked about that in the intro, which led into the reintroduction. And the reintroduction is a super dope song because the reintroduction really was my way of trying to reintroduce myself to so many different people at once. You get what I'm saying? Because as I was shifting from Christian hip hop to mainstream, there were a lot of people who were like, why? What are you doing? Right? Like, people who thought I had lost my way. People thought that, spiritually I was like lost and stuff. People thought that I was turning my back on the faith. People was just like, people thought that I was trying to chase popularity and trying to chase people's opinions. But it was like, no, I'm successful actually as a Christian rapper. I have more leverage staying here than I would have leaving, because I would actually have to, in a sense, start over and impress a whole new set of people. You get what I'm saying? And I wouldn't be able to use none of this music because this crowd and audience wouldn't care for that, right? So, but the reintroduction was a setup to say, like, I want to tell you all why I'm even doing this. Like, not just the shift, but why I do music. Like, who I do it for, why I do it, what it means to me, right? And then reintroduce you to, like, this is who I am, if you didn't know. You know what I'm saying? I think sometimes we have to reintroduce ourselves when we go through changes, because people can get so hooked and clung on to the idea of who they want you to be, who they think you are, what they've already assumed you to be. And sometimes you have to reintroduce yourself and say, like, hey, this is who I am now. I know who you seen me as, I know who you might want me to be, but this is who I am. Let me reintroduce myself. And of course, being a Jay-Z fan, that was one of my favorite songs. Well, you know, allow me to reintroduce myself. My name is, you know, so it was super dope to public service announcement. That's what it was. It's crazy because I was like halfway trying to remember what it was, but also be like, don't go trying to say something again that you can't remember. But it was public service announcement. But that was my song, you know what I'm saying? And the reintroduction was kind of like a play on that, you know, allow me to reintroduce myself. But it was a more personal song. The beat was super dope because it was man, how can I explain that beat? It was so laid back. It was so lounge vibe, you know what I'm saying? Not like coffee house jazz, but just lounge, like and it gave me that late night television kind of like interviewee you know, Carlson type of thing, where and that's where I got the idea of doing the little, instead of doing a hook for the song, I would just do these pieces where, because I thought that what was important on top of just rapping on the beat and saying my piece was also kind of talking and explaining in a sense as well. So instead of having a normal hook, right, I just decided to talk and have like interview segments in between the verses. And so the first one starts off and, you know, they're like, hey, thank you for coming on. And I'm like, appreciate it, you know. And so, you know, they're like, you've reinvented yourself. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, well, you know, I just feel like I'm trying to get people to know, you know, this new side of me that I haven't really changed, but that I'm more layered now. I have more context to me now. And so I want to show that. And so, you know, we went into that song and you know, I went into, you know, who I do it for, and I talked about like how, you know, if my music doesn't affect anybody, if it does not have any impact on somebody's life or thought pattern, or if it does not move you, if it does not inspire you, if it does not I guess, you know, lends itself to being some kind of addition for you, where after you hear it, it can at least spark some kind of interest to seeing maybe something different, you know, then I failed. You know, if my music doesn't if it does not inspire the people around me, I failed. If it doesn't help reach a life or touch a life, I failed. You know, and so I just talked about kind of the weight and the cost of like why I do music still and what it means to me outside of trying to just, be rich and be famous and have clout and all this other stuff. Is like, no, I do it for so many other reasons that matter on the micro scale of today's definition of success, right? So that was my kind of take on the reintroduction, was let me remind you about who I am. You know what I'm saying? But also let me remind you about what I do and why I do it. And the take of like, this is the new way that I'm about to do things. And if you don't like it, oh well. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh well. You get what I'm saying? So it was a whole kind of like, it was almost like speed dating or blind dating. It was just like, I am now for the first time giving you guys the truth of who I am right here. First song. So that way, if you don't even want to hear the rest, that's fine. You get what I'm saying? Like, but I'm not going to play no type of pretend with you for the first few tracks and, oh, let me hype you up and make you feel. No. We're going straight to like, look, this is who Vince is, track number 1. The rest of it, you gotta, you know what I'm saying, follow it for yourself. So, and that was the reintroduction. Runaway, track number 3, Runaway, was a interesting song because one of the things that I like to do, I like to challenge myself with my projects. I like to always do a type of sound or song or feel that is not norm. I'm very, I call myself the world heavyweight champ, everything vibey, because a lot of the music I make has vibes to it. You know what I'm saying? Is smooth, is bouncy, is chill, is laid back. It could be turned for sure, but it's still swaggy. It's all that good stuff, right? Feel good, boss type music. You feel me? Like, it's just, I like to have fun. But I wanted to try, I always like to try new sounds because I feel like you always have to, one, as an artist, you should be versatile. So you should be able to have range and be able to work on various types of music. And it's a little harder when you're doing it for somebody else than it is when you're doing it for yourself. Because when you're doing it for yourself, you can kind of take some time to study and master and learn it, right? And versus when somebody's like, hey, do a feature for me, and it's on a track or a sound that you're not really used to or comfortable with, or you haven't, you got your bubble and that's it. Once you get pulled out your own bubble and somebody say, hey, get on this song, you start to listen to the beat, you're like, I don't think I could do this. And so I didn't like that feeling of feeling like I couldn't do certain things in music. And so I wanted to say, okay, how do I do that? Well, I'm going to challenge myself to find a beat or a sound, one that interests me. So I want to be interested in it as well. So it's not just like, oh, I'm just going to grab this beat. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to grab this drill beat, or I'm going to grab this country beat, and I'm just like no, it has to be a sound that I'm into, that I'm kind of like, oh man, that's kind of cool. I don't do that sound, but if I could, I would. Or if I wanted to, I'd like to try that one day. And so I take stuff like that and I incorporate it into my music. Runaway was that song because it was a Travis Scott type of beat. And Travis Scott, if who Travis Scott is, come on now. I mean, like,
That's why he's the GOAT! The GOAT!
no, I'm just kidding. Travis Scott might be to go to somebody else. He ain't to go. He not my go, but he is dope as fuck. So, Travis Scott, man, his music is very, his sounds, the stuff, you know what I'm saying, the way he creates these stadium music, basically, as I've heard it be put so elegantly. Stadium music, but also with these, I don't even want to say futuristic. That sounds too, just sounds too dense of a type. It's almost out of this world type music. That's even more crazy, right? It's out of this type world music, and I think that when he does a song And then I'm talking about when it's a Travis Scott song, you know it, right? You can tell by the first few beats of the beat, you like, yep, this got to be a Travis Scott. And if it's not, you like, he must be on it, right? Like, you could tell. And I wanted to try something like that. I wanted to try a song that had that Travis Scott feel. I wanted to kind of create that Travis Scott song. I wanted to capture the ambiance, essence, and I guess I don't want to say the soul of a Travis Scott song, but at least the essence and the vibe of it. I love the vibe of a Travis Scott song, so I was more so focused on creating the vibe and the energy and the like I said, the essence of it. And so Runaway was that. I've loved, so this album is very, very near and dear to me because again, it was my first produced, my first engineered like album where it was like I felt like, okay, I gotta learn how to do all this stuff to create the stuff that I want to hear. Runaway is one of those songs where in hindsight I just wish I had the engineer to do this song the justice, right? It is still a good song, don't get me wrong. Still one of my favorite songs on this album. But I just know it could have been so much better, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, I just know I could have put so much more into this song had the production been better than what I did for it. You get what I'm saying? I feel like I got it to the finish line, but I didn't cross the finish line. If that makes sense. But Runaway was an important song because I wanted to make a song where I was explaining to people that, because again, leaving Christian hip hop, coming into the mainstream, and coming into mainstream, there are people who are like, oh, you the Christian rapper, dude. You the Christian rapper, right? You the Christian rapper. You the Christian. Oh, you. And it was kind of like a way of being like, you don't really belong here. You get what I'm saying? Like, why are you here? Why? What you doing here? You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, ain't you that Christian rapper? Whereas the other side, the my faith people in the faith was like, you know, sinner, just burn. Like, what are you doing? Like, you know, he's betrayed the faith. Like, and so Runaway was like, listen, I'm not running away from nobody. I'm not running away from y'all. I'm not running away from y'all. I am here. No one's going to make me move from my post. I am here. This is what I want to do. Y'all can't stop me and y'all can't stop me. I ain't running away. I'm not running away. And that was it was supposed to be a declaration type of song. You get what I'm saying? And again, I feel like on the verses, the idea, the concept, the context in the song, it's there. I just felt, looking back in hindsight, I just wanted it to have a better production to it, though. You get what I'm saying? A better production to it, because I think it can sadly go underrated on the album. Number 4, Love Me, Love Me Not. I'm trying to catch that one. That was a tongue twister. Love Me Not. Love Me Not was a complex song, man. Listen, sheesh. It was about, technically, a relationship with a person or individual that I knew personally, where I just felt like they weren't being completely honest with me and transparent with me about how they felt. And it reminded me of the game you played as kids when you had the sunflower, or you had anything that had, leaves on or whatever, and you would pick them and you say, she loves me, she loves me not, she loves me, she loves me not, she loves me. And by the time you get to the end, you would hope you land on she loves me, right? Because somehow we thought that's how you define love. It is not. Like, I don't know why we thought that. Like,
Fatality.
we deserve to lose every time in relationships by thinking that was the case. But that's what I kind of thought was like, oh yeah, that's a great imagery for how I feel about this relationship, which is I'm picking at these hints and clues in our relationship to see, like, they love me not, they love me not. And it was like, maybe you don't love me like you say you do. You know what I'm saying? And then so that's where, the hook came in, do you love me like the Lord does? Shame the devil, do you love me not? You know what I'm saying? And it was kind of like I was trying to address being in a position where it's like, you say one thing but your actions show another, and you swear by these words but your actions say another. And as much as I am trying to find pieces of glass and glue to stick together and create this picture, I just can't help but to realize the pieces don't fit, because this don't line up with that, right? And so that's where love me not came from. Was, again, as I'm trying to speak the truth about Vince is feeling like there are people in his life who say one thing to him but they do another. They say they love him but they act another way. They swear oh man, I love you, or hey, I love you, Vince. Like, they swear they love Vince, but their actions show that they clearly have no love for Vince, which is why Vince chooses to be mature and not Vince, right? And this is, again, all in the scope of a therapy session. While also in the therapy session, I'm telling my therapist, with even run away, like, I'm not running away from these people. These people aren't no one's going to make me feel bad or feel terrible about where I am. And then, if need be, I will reintroduce myself to them before I let them make me run away. You get what I'm saying? Or before I pretend to be blind to the fact that the love does not really line up with the actions. So as you see, this is how I'm layering the track list, right? And so that leads us into track number 5, Chameleon, because after saying that I don't know if you love me or love me not, now I'm dealing with another type of form of relationships where people are being chameleons to me, right? People are being chameleons. And so shout out to my homeboy Feature Lee. Feature Lee was a guest on this track. And in the hook is like, well, who do you want to see? Tell me who I gotta be. Since I'm not enough for you, I switch it up for you. What you want to see? Because at this point, I'm saying, you say you love me, but your actions don't. So now tell me, what do I have to do in order to get this love from you? Like, who do you want to see? Who do I gotta be in order to get from you the very thing that I really want, which is your love and your compassion or your loyalty? Who do I gotta be? What do you want to see? What do I gotta do to be enough for you? You know what I'm saying? Because I will be a chameleon in order to be enough for you. I will blend in, do what I gotta do since I'm just not enough. But at the same time, you're the chameleon because you too also aren't being the authentic self, your authentic self towards me. You get what I'm saying? So that's how we got to chameleon. So chameleon, again, Feature Lee did his job. I've worked with Feature Lee tons of times. We have a lot of collaborations. Obviously, me, him, and Tay Nino did a collab joint project, which that's coming, right? Obviously, okay. The deep dive for Love Hate is coming. But this was one of my favorite verses by Feature Lee, all time. I just think he just smashed it. You know what I'm saying? Pause. Look, I said smashed it. Pass. Pause. Like,
Oh my God!
oh my God. So, cause only me, him, and Nino we'd be laughing at these type of things. But man, shout out to Feature Lee, man, for that amazing feature he did. No pun intended. So Chameleon was, again, me addressing another type of relationship and really trying to show people the inner battles that Vince is dealing with that Mature doesn't have to deal with. Mature does not have to deal with the personal relationships. He can deal with the extended relationships. He can deal with the what do you call them, surface relationships, right? The people he's meeting at shows and blah blah blah. He can deal with those. But these other relationships over here, these are the ones that's really bothering him. These are the ones that are getting to him, right? The ones who are saying they love him but don't, and then the ones who are forcing him to feel like he has to be a chameleon and not be himself, but morph and form into whatever will be acceptable for their love. Now go through featuring my my homeboy, my fam, my cuz, Reese Streets. This song was really important because I really wanted to do this song with Reese Streets. I really wanted to connect with him on a track because there are certain people, there are certain artists and certain people who have such a love for, such an affinity for, that I've always said, like, I gotta get a track in with them. I gotta do a track with them. You know what I'm saying? Like, it just has to be done so that I can at least hang my hat on that I did it. And so when we did this song, when we did Go Through was, again, as we follow through the track list, I'm telling people what's going on. And now I'm saying, who's going to go through this like I am, right? Because I'm addressing all these things that I'm going through so far, and I'm diving into my pain. I'm diving into my dark places. I'm diving into my shadows, and I'm saying, but who else is going to go through this, right? Nobody's going to go through it for me, right? Nobody's going to deal with these things for me. Nobody's going to handle when the power gets cut off, right? Nobody's going to be there to go through when the water gets cut off. Nobody's going to be there to go through when, you know, I'm praying to God for opportunities and chances and praying for, you know, trying to make things happen and they fail and I have setbacks. Nobody's going to go through these things but me. You know what I'm saying? So while I am frustrated that people really like Mature and that people are just like, oh yeah, so cool, so great, blah blah blah, they don't know the things that I have to actually go through to deal with that and then come out and still be this person, right? And even if I was to be open about those things, they can't do nothing for me. I still alone have to go through those things by myself. You get what I'm saying? And so Go Through was super dope. Reese Streets came through and did an amazing verse on that song. Son of Atlas, number 7, is a interesting song as well because I wanted to address some real life things such as the murder of Breonna Taylor, the murder of George Floyd. But the Son of Atlas was to address, and if people don't know who Atlas is the mythological story about the man who has the earth on his back. I'm sure people have seen statues and stuff like that. So this was saying I was the son of Atlas. I'm the son of a man who has the world on his back. A man who's already carrying pressure, the weight of the world on his back, the guilt, the pain, the shame, the heartache, the struggles, all that stuff. I'm his son. You get what I'm saying? So imagine if he has the world on his back, what do I have on mine, right? And so Son of Atlas was to kind of address how as men, in the verse, in the hook, it says every man must carry his own weight, but it's something on his shoulders I'm feeling that might break. They say God won't put on me what I can't take, so I hold it all in, ignoring all of the shakes. And so it's saying like I'm wearing a mask, I'm pretending to be okay when I have the world on my back. I have other people in my family, my friends. I have other people's problems on my back. I have everything on this back. And people are saying, well, God won't put on you more than you can take. So knowing that my shoulders are about to collapse, I'm just holding it in, faking a smile. Like, I'm all right. Yeah. And so it was a story about being a man and just how, men being killed through police violence is a viral trend. You get what I'm saying? Like, people at one point were daily consuming videos of black men being killed as content. You get what I'm saying? People are posting it as content. Like, and I get the one side of like, well, hey, people are trying to be more self-aware about what's happening with police, right? But at the same time, like, I'm on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter, and I'm scrolling through, and there's just another video and another video and another video. And then you get to watching so many of them, and you're like, I've spent 15, 20 minutes watching black men just get killed. That's it. I can't fix it. I can't save them. I can't, you know what I'm saying? Like, I've just literally consumed content for the sake of consuming it, and this is viral. So it was just like, man, this is what I'm dealing with as a black man. Like, so that was Son of Atlas. Number 8, Tay Time. Tay Time was a song that I did dedicated to a close friend of mine's, my homeboy, Alante Troop. Some known him as Hooligan. He was an artist as well. Went by the name Hooligan. He was the leading star on my show, on my channel, Die For This. He played Devin. He passed shortly after we did the first season of Die For This. We had completed the first season of Die For This. We started filming the second season, and he was taken from us. It was during the height of COVID. You know what I'm saying? And so he was taken from us too soon. Rest easy, Tay. And so Tay Time was a song that was helping me to deal with a real life grief, a real life loss, like in real time. You get what I'm saying? Tay Time, to be honest, was the first song that I wrote for this album. Because as I had been focusing on my filmmaking, and I hadn't really had anything to write between 2020, right there in the cuffs of 21 is when, or the earlier part, I should say, of 21 is right when, we lost Tay. And so dealing and struggling with that grief, struggling with the loss of a friend, I didn't know, I really didn't even know how to process it, right? It was such a difficult journey to navigate, and it'd be crazy because not just have I've lost other people like family and other friends, but it's just sometimes you can't even explain why somebody kind of cuts the line in grief, right? Like, why am I not extra sad about this person, but this person got me really sad? Like, sometimes it's hard to really explain, but I was truly devastated, losing Tay, and this was the first song that I wrote that I think after writing this, I understood the direction for the rest of this album, because I was like, oh, I need to stay here in this very vulnerable, open, emotional space where I'm very aware right now of how I feel. And then that kind of, the gears start turning and I start having ideas about stuff, and I'm like, well, if I did an album, you know what I'm saying? Like, now I'm thinking about the Vince album, and then I start thinking about, well, what about Mature? And then everything comes together. And so this was one of the the first song that I recorded for this album. I recorded this with my homeboy King Sizzle. Shout out to him. And at his place, and when I got done, not only did it help me because I needed this song, but it also, like I say, gave birth to the rest of the album. One of the most special things about this song is it was one of them songs where I wanted to do it live, and I was kind of nervous because it's a sad song, right? On the song I say rest in peace Tay Time, which was his Instagram handle, Tay Time, and I say on there, rest in peace Tay Time, they go say your name now. Because he wanted to be an actor. He was an actor on my show before he passed, and I just felt like he didn't get the chance to reach the level of I can't even think of the word, or I'm trying to pronounce it, but the level of fame, let's just say that, the level of fame, he didn't get to reach the level of fame that he wanted. And so this was my way of saying, like, they go say your name now because I gotta say it in this song. You get what I'm saying? And if they learn this song, they gotta say your name now. You feel what I'm saying? So I did this song at an event, and the entire crowd by the end of the song was chanting rest in peace Tay Time, they go say your name now. And I kid you not, I just stopped rapping and I just listened. I just closed my eyes and listened. And I got super emotional, you know what I'm saying, in that moment, because what I envisioned for the song was happening in that moment. And I think the crowd understood as well. They understood that, you know what I'm saying? That still is a moment to me that I don't think I'll forget. You get what I'm saying? Because with audiences, sometimes you don't know what you go get from an audience, right? You can get a real stuck up audience that's just they stubborn. They not trying to engage or nothing. They just here to be entertained, and that's it. And then you get some really great I'm talking about engaging live crowds. And sometimes it can be the smallest of crowds. Like, I've seen big crowds go crazy, but I've also seen a big crowd just stare at you. I've seen 15 people go crazy, like they a mass. You get what I'm saying? So crowds can be so different and so up and down polarizing, right? But on that night, man, those people, I mean, it just, man, my heart was so full, so full. And I just felt like in that moment, I was like, bro, he gotta hear that. He got wherever he is, he gotta hear that. He gotta hear that. So, Take Time is such a close song to me. And I just recently listened to it for the first time in a while with a close friend of mine's, and we kind of just was like, man, like we had to listen to the whole song. Like we had pulled in the driveway. We was like, we just sat in the car just a little bit longer to actually hear the whole song, just because to being together, listening to that, thinking about our friend, we just was like, man, I'm glad we kind of got this song, like to kind of have this moment. You get what I'm saying? So, Take Time is very super special song to me. Better Life is another song where, and that's track number 9. Yeah, track number 9. I wanted to dive into expressing another desire of Vince's, which is wanting to have a better life, wanting to create better scenarios and opportunities for the people in Vince's life, right? Like, it's like, no, it's not just, oh, I'm rapping to rap. Like, no, I want to prove the haters and doubters wrong. I want to put my mom up in this place, in this house, and give my homies this and give my daughter that, and create better lives for the people around me and near to me and next to me. And that is the true motivation behind everything, behind this podcast, behind the movies, behind the music, behind everything that I do, is to create a better life for the people that I can directly affect, and put us all in a position to where we go from living one way to living another way, and in that process, or in that journey, finding the things that truly make us happy. You know what I'm saying? And truly give us peace and truly make us feel loved. So that was Better Life. And it just, I feel like it was more so about explaining what I see as a better life, what I feel is a better life, and the things that I've been through in life that have brought me to this point. You get what I'm saying? And there's a really great Office. If there's any fans of The Office, there's a really great Office bar in this song. Or is there Better Life? Or am I thinking about the next song? I just had another blank out moment. Number 10 is Influence featuring Nirvana Nash and Lyric Bell. Shout out to both of them. I'm just riding on my way, chilling on my vibe. I'm just, listen, super dope. Again, Influence was just, again, trying to talk about the influence that I have, and understanding that I have that influence, understanding who I affect, who I affect, who I wish to affect, why I wish to affect them. Like, influence, and again, it was from all type of things. What influences me, what I choose to ignore, right? Those things, like influence, and the power of influence, and what it can lead you to do, what it can lead you to believe about yourself, or choose to be, for yourself. And so Influence was a super dope song that I got a chance to collab with Nirvana and Lyric Bell for. Um, Lyric Bell and I had we had done some collabs, but this was I believe it was our first on wax. Like this was the one that we put out type of collabs. Um, we had some other ones that we recorded that came later. I think this one was the first one. This was the first time I got a chance to work with Nirvana Nash. And again, they both knocked it out the park. They did it so fast. Like that's one of the things I appreciated was how fast they were able to just do it. Sometimes artists, I know for me back in the day, I needed some time. Give me the beat, let me go home, let me let me work on it. But they were able to get their verses, you know what I'm saying, done in good timing, man. Like and they came through with different vibes. Lyric Bell sang on it. Nirvana had some really great melodic backgrounds on his verse. And I liked his flow pattern towards the end of that verse as well. How he started switching things up. He came in pretty boom boom, but I like how he kind of switched up to a melodic kind of tune towards the end, and it kind of really fit with the music and how the music was going. Super dope verse from Nirvana. Super dope verse. Number 11, All Black. All Black was, it's weird. All Black was, it was the merging of two type of things. It was the merging from a train of thought that me as a black man I have. And then it was also a moment, a completely random, unplanned, unpredicted moment that also gave birth to the song. So let's start with the first one. The train of thought. All Black was the core of that song. The meat of this song is celebrating blackness, recognizing blackness, standing on blackness. You know what I'm saying? Because I know that there are a lot of people who in music will try to stray away from serious topics, right? Whether that's politics, whether that's race, whether that's whatever. And that's everybody's prerogative and choice to make music about whatever they want to. I just felt like during the height of COVID, the height of so much racial tension, the height of so much what do you stand for type of conversations being had, I wanted to proudly say I'm all black. You get what I'm saying? I'm all black. It's me. And I like everything all black. You know what I'm saying? I like everything all black. Black suits, black cars, black everything. Black, black, black. And black is my favorite color. By far, black is my favorite color. You see it on me right now. Headphones, everything around me, black, 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 black. I love black. And so again, I'm trying to tie things into who Vince is because black is literally my favorite color. But I'm also saying like, bro, I'm all black. Like I'm not against anybody in anybody's other race, but I am all black. Like, and the second part, right? The second part, which is this random unplanned moment that inspired the song, is one we used to my cousins and I we used to have a building that we had a studio in there, we had a podcast room in there, and it was kind of like our place to work but also be. And I remember, shout out to Tito. Shout out to Tito. If you ever heard a song of mine, you probably heard me shout out Tito. Tito is on the podcast interface recording machine. The exact one that I'm using. Not this one, but the model and the brand and everything, same one. And so he is playing music through it, like instrumentals, and he's rapping. And if there's one thing you know about Tito and rapping, it's a show. So Tito is rapping and he's saying all black, all black. And I think like other people are freestyling and he's just cutting it in like all black, all black. And so when I sat down to do this beat, when I heard this beat and I sat down to do the song, that was the first thing that came to my mind. First thing. So random. In the booth, playing the beat, and I hear Tito's voice. All black. All black. And I'm like, oh. All black. Trying to swipe a car, no limit, all black. On the rim, all black. And it just starts coming to me, all black. And I'm like, oh my goodness. So then I'm like, this is great. This is like perfect, because not only do I have the desire to talk about blackness, but now I have this concept or theme or this creative stamp for the song. You know what I'm saying? All black. You know what I'm saying? And it was just like, man, after that, it boom. Writing a song became so much easier. Once I had that, it was like, boom, all black. Fill in the blank. All black. Fill in the blank again. All black. Fill in the blank. All black. Like, it just worked. It was just like bam, bam, bam. So yeah. Shout out to Tito. Which is funny because I recently had a conversation with Tito, and I told him, I said, man, you know what? You inspired that song, bro. And I told him the whole story, and he was like, I don't remember that. And I was just like,
That's why he's the GOAT!
hey,
The GOAT!
Tito, that's why he's the GOAT, man. Just because, hey, he gave me a whole song, inspired it and everything, and don't even remember that he did any of it. So it was just like, that's what's up. And then, of course, man, how can we not wrap up this video by talking about Connect? Oh, man, listen, Connect.
It was perfect. Perfect. Everything, down to the last minute details.
Connect. Listen, Connect is... it's that one. It is crazy. It's so befitting to be at the end. Like, it's so befitting to be at the end. Like,
This motherfucker don't miss.
not when Connect is on. Not when Connect is on. Connect by itself, single-handedly carried, I believe it carried the entire project. Like, people saw me perform Connect. People have heard me do Connect. I've rocked so many crowds just doing Connect. People have just told me, like, come here and do Connect. Like, Connect has been, and what's really crazy is how I even stumbled upon Connect as a song, right? So I hear this beat one night. I'm not sure the first time that I heard this beat. I do remember, actually. First time I heard the beat, I was sitting on the couch. It was super late, and like 2-3 in the morning. And I'm on Instagram. I'm just scrolling. And there's this ad for like a beat kit, you know, or like a beat pack, whatever. You know what I'm saying? You know, get this pack, 10 beats, you know, and then you could swipe through. They had multiple pictures with a sample from the beats. And so the beat for Connect plays, and I say, oh, instantly. I'm mesmerized by the beat. I'm just like, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I'm like, I don't even like the other beats. No, I don't like none of the other beats. All the other beats can go to hell. I just want this one beat. And I'm willing to buy this entire pack for this one beat. Right? So I get the beat, I'm like, this is crazy. I look at the price tag. Price tag is like $50. I'm like, oh, I do not have $50. But when I get paid and the money drops into the account, oh, you better believe, goddamn it, I'm gonna pay for that $50 for that one beat. I'm gonna throw the other beat, delete, save this beat. So, the days go by. I save this now. I save the ad or the post. Couple days go by. I got the beat stuck in my head. I want to hear it again, right? I'm listening to it. I'm like, oh, this beat is so fire. Like, hurry up, Payday. Come on. I need to buy this beat. Like, I haven't even found the words yet, but I just know something's going to come from this beat. Because for me, when I connect with music, when I hear a beat, and I mean, I'm talking about instantaneously connect. Not even like, I hear beat after a couple days, I'm like, oh, I like this beat. I'm talking about there are beats that when I hear them, my soul literally lights up because I'm like, oh, I instantly hear the song. I'm like, I know there's a song here. I can hear it, but I don't have words or nothing, but I just feel the song. I can feel it through the beat as I'm listening to. I say, bro, I got to get this beat. I look at the price. It has dropped to it was like 35 or $40. I said, that's even better. It's better than the 50. Screw the 50. Give me that one. Give me the price for that. That's better. I go, I get paid, right? This like 4 or 5 days later, right? I'll go to the post that I saved. I click on the link.
Oh my God!
The beat then dropped to $10. Oh my God. I lost my shit. I lost it. $10? Give me this goddamn beat pack right now. Give it to me right now. This thing has dropped. And at that moment, I knew this song was going to be special because I was going to pay the 50 ball, but I really didn't want to pay 50 for one beat. And I'm not saying like 51 one beat, but I didn't want to pay for the other beats. Like, if I just knew I was getting this beat, which I kind of technically did, but I was like, but I just was like, I got these other beats that I gotta download them like I like them too. Okay. You know what I'm saying? But bro, I knew, I was like, this is gonna be something crazy. I was freestyling in the car one day, listening to the beat, and the song came right then and there. The hook, connect into the real wave, connect into the real wave, connect. Because I knew I was going to sing something. on it. I could feel the vibe coming. I could feel the vibiness. And I was just like, and I'm trying to I'm going through different hummings and finally I catch on to real one, connect into the real way, and it was over. I got home immediately. I recorded that, and from just that, I started layering it. Right from that point on, once I layered it, and I just heard all the layers in my head at once going, I wrote the song right. Just boom, it was over. And I remember just being like, I would always feel like it was just, I felt like I was in a trance every time. Connect into the real wave. And it was just over. So when I did connect, I had felt inspired to say, connect back into the real, connect back into something that's real. Like music artists in the industry is so oversaturated with, you know, who's of plastic Barbie doll rapper women and sexy reds and booty holes and brown booty holes and all other type of stuff, and you know, like rap is full of killers, and I kill this and I kill that and I kill, and I'm just like, man, there was a and it's not to say we never had this in the 90s, but I just felt like we had so much listeners, the people who consume music, listeners had such a bigger appetite for so much more music than they do now. I feel like people just, they take their daily dose of Killer Ratchet and move on. Whereas it felt like in the 90s, even that early 2000s, we just had a desire for so much variety of music. We loved so many different types of artists. We showed love to so many different types of artists. We embraced so many different sounds and vibes, and even if it was a positive message, if it rocked right, it rocked right. You know what I'm saying? Like, and so Connect was like, man, connect back into the real wave. Come back home to the real things where snare drums snapping, the beat bang, like with flute sing high like they own planes, where it could touch a soul, make a man change. Like, let's get back to that authentic music. And so that was Connect. Like, Connect was, it was also saying connect to me though. Like, connect back to me. Like, I'm authentic, I'm real, I'm this. Like, connect back to the real wave, me as a human, but also me as an artist. Like, my music is real, my music is authentic, my music is grounded. Connect back to this. But then I'm also speaking for Vince and saying connect back to him, connect back to that guy. So Connect was so layered on so many levels of like transparency or introspection. But when I say it's a hit,
This motherfucker don't miss.
That's why he's the GOAT! The GOAT!
listen, that is a song for the ages. And truthfully, it really was like a staple single for 2022. Like, and it's people who now are kind of like just being introduced to a lot of my music. And when they get a chance to hear Connect, it's always the same type of like, bro, Connect, that's it, man, that boy fire. Like, and I was like, yeah, yep, that's Connect for you. So you know, shout out to all those who have just supported Connect and just love that song, because it really was like my anthem for 2022, because it just rang so big. Like, even to this day, people are still like, man, Connect. I'm like, yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, so shout out to Connect, man. And so that is the entirety of the Vince side of the double album for Vince Immature. This album came out on July 12th, 2002. Has 12 songs. It's about 43 minutes, so you know, just under an hour. But it is on all platforms: Apple Music, Spotify, all those good places. I appreciate you guys for sitting down and listening to some storytelling about this album, and some of the breakdown of this album. I'm gonna be doing more of these, and I hope that you guys are enjoying them. I hope that you guys find a reason to come back and want to hear more, not just about my albums, but about so many other artists' albums. And hopefully we can make Rap-Ology a part of your biology. Look, I did that. Nah, that was pretty bad. But I appreciate you guys, man, as always, man. But listen, if you are watching this on YouTube right now, I want you to make sure you hit that like button. Hit that like button. Hit that like button. Subscribe. Don't subscribe. It's somewhere down here, or subscribe. Okay, and make sure you notify yourself so that you don't miss these. All right, and if you are listening to us on the Apple Podcast, Spotify Podcast, you know what I'm saying, podcast streaming platforms, then of course you are tapped in with us on the Maturity Productions Network, which has all the podcasts, which has your Rap-Ology, Hit Your Finisher, Not Very Mature with Chisa Fears. Shout out to her. You definitely want to be tapped into these podcasts because they're going to be full of good content. What else could you ask for? Now, with that being said, I want you guys to go ahead and check out this album. Check out Vincent Mature. It is on all streaming platforms. Let me know your favorite song down in the comments. What is your favorite song? If you have heard the album, what's your favorite song? If you haven't heard the album, come back and then let me know what your favorite song was from the album. I want to know what you guys think about this Vince album. Next time, we're going to talk about some more albums. I got plenty of stuff to talk about. My catalog is pretty long. As one friend told me, it's pretty long. So we'll talk about some more stuff, man. But listen, I am Mature the Servant. You can follow me on all social media platforms at Maturity_Productions on Facebook. I have a business page, Maturity Productions. You can find me on Instagram, Maturity_Productions. But with that being said, man, I appreciate you guys. I love y'all. And until next time, peace.